This next Trump administration is completely bought out. A lot of people are really trying to decipher where it's going to go, what he's going to do. You know, if he's going to annex Canada and Greenland and Panama, or if he's going to make America great again by bringing a gazillion jobs in and deporting every illegal immigrant in the country. And I honestly think that a lot of these are just smoke screens. Like, they're not real. They're just justification to do whatever he wants to do when he's in office. I really do think that his main objective of this next administration will be to distribute as much wealth to the top 1% as possible, to slash union regulations and power, to further erode any type of power that the education system has left to create genuine thinkers, genuine critical thinkers, and people who have their own autonomy as individuals, and to just line the pockets and power in the hands of the wealthiest people in the country as much as he can possible. And, you know, that sounds very crazy to say. It sounds like a very radical take, but, you know, when you look at the history of the Republican Party in the last decade, it doesn't really sound that crazy. You know, they've always wanted tax cuts. They've always wanted deregulation of different sectors. They've always had a respect for businesses' abilities to just have their own autonomy and take things into their own hands. And, you know, normally that would be fine, but with the amount of money that these people have now, it kind of creates an unhealthy power dynamic. But I do want to get to the point of where I think this is going. And the biggest concern of this to me is I believe that media is already buying into the next Trump administration and bending the knee in any way they can. With legacy media, CNN was bought out by a Republican, which on its own isn't a big thing, but this is, again, a party of voters who are fine with insurrection, who are fine with unlawful behavior in different countries, who are fine with working with foreign governments while you're not even in office to skew an election in your favor. These are people who don't respect the rule of law and who don't respect bipartisanship or the means of working together to get things done for the American people. And when I mean that, I don't mean Republican voters. I mean heads of the Republican Party who know what they're doing and who know where their interests are lying and know who they're double-crossing to get to where they need to get. But yeah, with legacy media, CNN, again, bought out by a Republican. MSNBC hosts are basically going to Trump's house and asking him how they can open dialogue and how they can get in touch with the next president-elect of the country. And the New York Times, owned by billionaire Jeff Bezos, specifically made sure not to endorse a political candidate, which they had not done in the past, allegedly to help Donald Trump's campaign. And before I go any further, it sounds crazy that I'm saying that he's bought out, that this administration is going to do all these things. You know, again, I know it sounds crazy to say that this next administration might be bought out, but, you know, when you look at the demographics of Trump's cabinet, you have at least 13 billionaires and 4 to 5 multimillionaires. You know, to say that this cabinet and this administration is not going to be surrounded by everyone telling Trump what to do and what not to do, it just sounds a little naive to me. And the legacy media on its own is a little stressful because that's what people are supposed to see as normal. My biggest concern is social media. X, or Twitter, one of the biggest owned social media platforms, is owned by a billionaire, literally the richest man in the world. And he's given $200 million plus to Donald Trump's campaign to make sure that he won. And he is being awarded a top cabinet position in a government agency that Trump is literally making for him. X is bad on its own, but now Facebook, Meta, Instagram, whatever you want to call it, has decided that they are going to do two things. So they're no longer going to label hate speech against gay people or trans people by calling them mentally ill. Like, you can now do that without any consequences. And that doesn't seem as bad to some of you, because I know a lot of us aren't in that demographic, but that's a rollback on people's protections. And they are firing all of their fact checkers and replacing them with community notes, which is exactly what Twitter does. You know, I'm not sure if you go on Twitter, but, you know, going on Twitter, I see constant misinformation, constant fights for some reason. I see shootings, drug deals, police videos. It's weirdly designed in a way to create paranoia and distrust and a sense that the world is crumbling. It's literally the best way to spread misinformation. I remember when there was that terrorist attack in New Orleans, it was spread for days that the person who did the terrorist attack was an illegal immigrant, when it wasn't. That was just a lie. You had like major content creators on Twitter talking about how it was an illegal immigrant and how we need borders fixed now, when it was an ex-military vet who had somehow gotten into ISIS. Meta really just wants to make Instagram and Facebook into just more Twitters. There is a clear vested interest by legacy media media and social media to skew things towards Donald Trump and whoever passes him up's favor. With social media, we see a higher erosion of what the truth is. These companies are owned by the same people who are in Trump's cabinet. It's the same interests. It's billionaires and multimillionaires. Same thing with every legacy media platform. Every single media platform is owned by millionaires and billionaires. That's basically my biggest fear with this next administration. That's basically my biggest fear with where things are going. Now, I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that this is just companies lining their pockets and trying to stay safe from, what the next administration might have against people who, in their perspective, didn't treat them fairly. But if we were to see the richest people in the country own the means to information, it would be extremely dangerous. And I think it's something that people need to ring the bell on more. If people own the truth, the sky is no longer blue if we don't say it is. Terrorist attacks could be justified. Civilian casualties could be justified. Morality could be defined by whoever defines it. Murder would be okay. Murder could be okay. Rape could be okay. Civil rights could be wrong. Women's rights could be morally wrong. It's all in the hands of who controls the truth. And the political opposition could be all terrorists. Your neighbors could be terrorists. Your very thoughts, your very morality is defined by your environment. And I feel like people often forget that their media, who they hear, what they watch, is their environment. And to see that be corrupted and to see that be eroded in such a way would be, I think, the death of truth in America. At least more than it already is. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope we don't see the building blocks for an American oligarchy. But, we'll see. There's nothing's guaranteed, but god damn, if I were to say that it doesn't look like it right now. This was more of just a ramble. I do intend to make some more videos in the future and not just political videos because I am starting to go insane with all this shit. But, yeah, I don't know. That's my video.